Hello, welcome to another episode of Reflections on Reality. I'm your host. I am the Shadow Man, and before I go any further, I'd like to ask you to hit the subscribe button and, if you will, share the link. If you know anybody that might be interested in the subject matter of these particular talks and discussions that this channel um, presents. The subject matter for this particular video is: does the Bible give evidence of alien life? Well, let's start at the beginning, the book of Genesis. We're all familiar with that Bible verse that goes, "And God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness." That's plural. So this seems to indicate that men were created by multiple beings, and it's obvious that these beings created the earth. At least that's what the Bible says. These beings created the earth. So if they created the earth, then this would seem to indicate that they're not from the earth. But here's the real topic. We know that there's no evidence of a missing link to support evolution. When we talk about evolution, uh, there are a number of people that seem to think that men evolved from apes. However, there's no concrete evidence to support this, because if you look at the structure and the mentalities of monkeys, apes, compared to men, there's a huge gap. Yeah, they're both bipeds and that sort of thing. They both have humanoid forms, but there are obvious differences, and especially when it comes to intelligence, that men are far ahead of the game. However, does the Bible actually show proof that there's no such thing as a missing link? That people are hybrid aliens? I personally believe that people are hybrid aliens. We don't need to go around trying to search for hybrids, because we are the hybrids. And I believe in its own way the Bible says that. And the reason why I say that is this: if you read the book of Genesis carefully enough, it tells you that men were created from the dust of the earth. It also tells you that every other creature in creation, whether it be dogs, cats, primates, monkeys, were created from the dust of the earth. All creatures, including men, were created from the dust of the earth. That being said, there's a subtle difference that most people seem to miss when the Bible talks about the creation of man versus the creation of all the other creatures. And here it is. The Bible says that God breathed his breath of life into the man's nostrils. Now, what does that mean? I mean, obviously, people are breathing. We have to breathe air. Well, I mean, that's a no-brainer. But I believe that there's also a hidden message because, first of all, the Bible is full of symbology and hidden messages. It says the obvious. Nevertheless, when it talks about the obvious, it's also talking about the inobvious. So there's more to Bible verses than meets the eye. Now, if you read it carefully enough, you'll notice that on all the other creatures that God is said to have created, it was only in man that he breathed the breath of life into his nostrils. So God went a step further above and beyond just creating men from the dust of the earth. And that step above and beyond was to breathe his breath of life into the man, which is something he did not do for all the other creatures. That being said, one could argue, like, okay, well, it's just understood that he did that for all other creatures. Well, and the reason why I could dispute that is because if you fast forward to the New Testament, and there are other places in the Bible and the Old Testament where one or two of the prophets were able to raise the dead. And they did it without breathing the breath of life into the deceased. So, if the Messiah or the prophets could do that, why couldn't God himself create an animal, such as a monkey or a horse, and just will it to come alive? Well, he could, because God, being who he is, would be more powerful than any prophet that walked the earth. So here's the hidden message. God breathed his breath of life into the man. That hidden message is this. God inserted his very own DNA into the man. God being a higher form of life, a more intelligent form of life, or a form of life that's outside of this world, inserted his own DNA into the body of the man. And that's the hidden message in the verse, breathing the breath of life into his nostrils. And this is why man is so different from any other creature on the planet. This is also why you won't find a missing link, because there is none. Man himself is the hybrid, a cross between earth life and alien life. And the Bible seems to indicate that. Whatever your idea of God is, whether it's a religious point of view or what have you, there's no denial that he lives above and beyond, outside of this world. And who knows, he could be that omnipotent spiritual being that also permeates this world. I'm not disputing that. But I am saying that men have a certain characteristic in his DNA that's above and beyond this world, outside of this world, and that's what makes him a hybrid creature. Anyway, thank you for listening. I will be doing more talks of this nature because there's so many hidden messages in the Bible that people don't pick up on. And one of the reasons is that the Bible, written so many thousands of years ago, There was no terminology such as DNA, alien life. As a matter of fact, angels was the word for life outside of this world, alien life. Wherever you think angels come from is one thing, or wherever they go to live is another. But there can be no doubt that angels are as aliens too. So there you have it. Anyway, thank you for listening. Hopefully, if you are a Bible believer, a diehard Christian, the goal wasn't to offend you or to try to circumvent your belief system. It's just a thought. Um, and thank you again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, Reflections on Reality. If you know anybody that would be interested in hearing these kind of talks, share the link. Urge them to subscribe. Thank you again. And be blessed.